The Pittsburgh Steelers revamped their quarterback room this offseason by signing four-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers. After cycling through 5 different starting quarterbacks over the last 3 years, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitchell Trubisky, the Steelers have turned to the future Hall of Famer to lead them for the 2025 season. Though Rodgers didn't sign and begin practicing with Pittsburgh until June, and the Steelers are still early in training camp, his impact on the team is already palpable. This is particularly the case for the defense, which is getting accustomed to the challenges that come with facing an all-time great quarterback in practice every day. Frustrating because he talks a lot of smack. Pittsburgh linebacker TJ Watt said of practicing against Rodgers during the Pat McAfee show. He really does. A lot of the no-look passes are things that we're getting used to. I like to bat down a lot of passes at the line of scrimmage. He's able to manipulate the defense good, so that's been very frustrating. Hopefully one day we get the better of him. His cadence is deadly. Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward added of Rodgers. The thing he does best is he knows how to abuse the play clock. It's ridiculous, but it's gonna make us better. The Pittsburgh defense has provided a challenge for Rodgers in turn, even recently prompting questions about an interception he threw in his first training camp practice. It's not a bad thing to get beat up a little bit, Rodgers said of facing the defense, via Brooke Pryor of ESPN. Sometimes you can learn more from the failures in training camp than getting after him every single day. With Aaron Rodgers being a 20-year veteran of the NFL and someone who had a ton of control of the offense with his prior organizations, many rightfully wondered whether Rodgers would insist on doing things his way with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He put that to rest in one of his first interviews after joining the team, but doubled down during the Pat McAfee show live from training camp today. "There's not a my own playbook and Arthur's playbook," Rodgers said. "It's Arthur's playbook, and I'm finding ways within it to add little stuff here and there. But it's Arthur's playbook and I like it. I like it a lot." There were reports before Rodgers ever signed that Smith had been building a playbook with Rodgers in mind for months. If that's the case, Rodgers joked that he hasn't seen that playbook yet. During Rodgers' lengthy decision process, which lasted beyond OTAs, the media was obsessed with the idea that he wouldn't have enough time to pick up the offense. They claimed that it was nothing like the offenses he ran over his 20 years in the league. But Smith coached under Matt LaFleur in Tennessee for a year, and they both draw from some of the same concepts. Rodgers even studied Smith's offense before one of his MVP seasons. The language might be different, but Rodgers has seen just about everything there is to see in the NFL over the past 2 decades. It sounds like he's picking up the offense just fine. On a more personal level, Rodgers and Smith seem to be starting off their working relationship on the right foot. That may be because they had a personal relationship dating back a few years. "I love Art," Rodgers said. "I met him a couple years ago, and we had a friendship and would send messages back and forth, but once the opportunity started to become a possibility, we talked more. And he's just a great dude. He's the opposite of rigid. He wants to do right by the team, and whatever the best scheme is for the guys that he's got, he's going to implement that." The Steelers have obviously added quite a few new pieces for Smith to work with, including Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Jonas Smith, Kenneth Gainwell, and rookie RB Caleb Johnson. So maybe he did tailor the offense with Rodgers in mind, but they represent small tweaks to his already existing offense. Reports suggested that Rodgers and Smith met in the weeks leading up to training camp to tweak the offense together. They seem to have no issues or questions about who is in control of the offense. But there's also not a level of rigidity that would reject input from a 4-time league MVP. The Steelers can go as far as the Rodgers-Smith relationship takes them in 2025. Any good offensive line the Pittsburgh Steelers have ever had has been anchored by a stellar center. Omar Khan told reporters it was their mission to find the next great Steelers center last year, and he may have done just that when he selected Zach Frazier in the 2nd round of the 2024 NFL Draft. Aaron Rodgers has been working with Frazier for a short time, but he already sees immense potential. "It starts and ends with that kid," Rodgers said via the Pat McAfee show live at St. Vincent College for training camp. "He's got a chance to be really special in the league. A lot of great centers I've had were also wrestlers, and he was a great wrestler in high school." Rodgers did research on all of his teammates before showing up to camp. RB Evan Hull praised Rodgers for knowing his teammates' backstories, including some of the lesser-known guys who likely won't make the 53-man roster. He clearly did his homework on Frazier to know his wrestling background. But it goes beyond the physical traits. He's super smart, Rodgers said of Frazier. He's a little too smug for my liking, though. He's out there making calls for me, telling me if I got the wrong check. But no, seriously, Zach's done a great job. It starts and ends with him. Enough can't be said about the job Frazier did as the leader of the offensive line last year. The center has to do a lot of the communication for the entire offensive line. Frazier had to manage that as a rookie. That he's not afraid to speak up and correct a 4-time NFL MVP and future Hall of Famer is a great sign that he's taking charge. If he takes the next step both physically and mentally in 2025, Zach Frazier has every chance of becoming one of the top 2 or 3 centers in the NFL. Ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers putting the pads on for the first time in Wednesday's training camp practice, the Pat McAfee Show is airing live from Latrobe at Steelers camp, and the fans have been in full throat. TJ Watt and Cam Hayward joined McAfee and the crew live on set, and the fans in attendance quickly serenaded what with chants of F.K. Myles Garret. The Steelers have a checkered history when it comes to the Cleveland Browns edge rusher. Infamously, he mashed Mason Rudolph over the head with his own helmet back in 2019 when Ben Roethlisberger was gone for the season. Garret, and what have often been the center of debates regarding who the best edge rusher in the NFL is. Garret took a jab at Watt after the Browns defeated the Browns in Cleveland last season, and he was given what was at the time the largest contract in NFL history to a non-quarterback until Watt broke that record with his own contract this summer. The Steelers and Browns will face off for the first time in Week 6 in Acrisure Stadium.